I really hope that this video doesn't get me in trouble with YouTube. I'd like to preface this video by first saying that I am not in any way, shape, or form endorsing any use of illegal PEDs or steroids, any of that. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a trainer. I'm just a dumb old Marine meathead lifting in his garage, and I've been doing it for a while, and I've trained with some really world-class elite athletes, and, I've picked up a few things over the years. So, maybe it can help somebody, maybe it won't. I don't know. I was a 100% all-natural lifter with all the way up until the age of right about the end of 45, beginning of 46. I don't remember the exact date that I first used testosterone, but it was right about there. The reason I did it, I've been a natural lifter my entire life, and a lot of my friends of my age have been bugging me for a long time. They said, if you're going to compete, you should get on testosterone. None of those guys compete in the tested divisions. And I don't know. I was really hesitant to do it. I said, what, I made it this far. I'm still progressing, albeit slowly. But then something happened. I don't know, right around the age of 45. I noticed that I wasn't progressing anymore. And on top of that, I was just losing interest in the things that I love. Lifting was no longer fun. And it even reached into my home life. I was starting to lose interest in my wife. I didn't want to play with the kids. All I wanted to do was sit in the garage and watch YouTube videos and eat cookies. So, I went and got tested. And I found that my testosterone was on the low end of normal. It was low 200s. So here's the deal. The VA hospital won't prescribe you testosterone replacement or hormone replacement therapy if you're even barely in the normal range. So I went to my bro at the gym and I said, hey, hook me up. And this was my thought. I'd done the research. I do have a background in biology. My wife's a biology major. We're both in the STEM fields, and we're not idiots. I can read peer-reviewed research and kind of discern for myself. But, obviously I'm reading this stuff with a bias because I'm looking for evidence that supports what I want. So my thought was I could take tests for a month and it wouldn't tank what little natural production I have left. And so I went on testosterone on myself. I administered it myself. I bought it from, some guy that makes it in his bathtub probably. And the results were phenomenal. I felt like I was 20 again. The lifts were fun. I was just ripping weights off the floor. It was awesome. So I started bumping those numbers up, and it didn't take long before I was doing 500 milligrams a week, which is a lot. That's pro bodybuilder amount. And I started having negative effects. I started breaking out of my back, and even though I had an enormous sex drive, some of the equipment wasn't working properly, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's kind of a bad deal. It's like having a Ferrari without tires. Does that make sense? You want to go, but you can't. So I started taking Cialis. Next thing you know, I went from this natural lifter who was totally against PED use to a guy that's now I'm researching steroids. And a couple of friends are taking Tren. I never did Tren. Never did that. But they turned me on to this drug called Anadrol. Now, Anadrol used to be sold legally at GNC, but it is a banned substance. It has anabolic properties, and it's kind of a short-acting steroid. And think of it as the most amazing pre-workout ever. You take it before you lift, and it just gives you that kind of Superman effect. So now, up to this point, what am I taking? 500 milligrams of test a week. I'm taking like 50 to 100 milligrams of Anadrol on the days that I lift. I'm taking Cialis so that my plumbing's working. And I totally went off the rails compared to what I was just a few months ago. Well, I am not suffering any negative consequences. I mean, I'm looking great. I'm lifting a ton of weights. What's the downside? Well, this is right about the time we lost a lot of lifters in 2021. And notable names, like these guys just started dropping like flies. And I started noticing the age of some of these guys. And, they might have had a long-term history of PED abuse. They might have had other underlying issues that I don't have. But the fact is it scared the crap out of me because I started thinking about my family and I started thinking about what would happen to them if they didn't have a provider. Not to mention, I'm an addict in recovery. Like, what am I doing? Yeah, I mean, it's not crack or cocaine or whatever, but it's still a drug. And, maybe it doesn't have mood or mind-altering effects, but you definitely get a rush out of it, and it can be addictive. Anything can be addictive. Anything that you get instant gratification and positive results from can be addictive. And now I'm really, really running that risk line, like all the things that I've worked for. Like, wait, what am I doing? Am I being honest with myself? Am I being truthful? No, I'm being an idiot. So the first thing I did is I went to my doctor and I told him what I was doing. And after the admonishments and lectures and, all the stuff that comes with that, he set me on the right course. I'm getting my blood work done regularly. I'm on a amount of tests that keeps me in a normal range, and they check to make sure. Now I'm on the end of normal, so my testosterone numbers are that of a 20-year-old. So that's a huge advantage. What other advantages does that give a lifter? Well, during the day, a normal person's hormones, they're produced in fluctuations. So your numbers will go up and down, and depending on your sleep and everything else and your diet, you could crash those numbers for a day. There's a lot of things that could happen that could either spike or crash them. So it's not a nice, even line. It's more like a zigzag. While when you're taking testosterone, you have, even if it's a normal human amount, and it's not super physiological, it's still a consistent amount throughout the day. So that gives you a lot of leeway as far as eating crap food, not sleeping properly, not lifting properly. It's just like, it is an advantage. It is a distinct advantage. And if I compare my pictures of before I started testosterone and after, yeah, I'm on not that much bigger, but there's just something about the look. It's more full. It's more crisp. And, I would be a liar to you if I said that, oh, I'm on a normal amount. I'm not doing any more than you younger guys, No, there's an advantage. Come on. We need to be real with ourselves. We can't lie about these things. It's just, that's the truth. The truth is that testosterone makes all of this stuff easier. Now, that all being said, you still have, it doesn't lift a weight for you. You can't exist on Pop-Tarts and candy bars and expect to look like I do. My sleep is crappy, but I still try to get as much as possible, so I'm getting good rest. It definitely helps with injury recovery, but I'm still in a 47-year-old body, so do I have the ability to recover better than a 20-year-old? No. So there's things I still need to do to look the way I do. Like if I stopped working out right now and I just started eating crap, or I was doing subpar lifting and I wasn't trying to do any kind of progression, or if I wasn't training properly, I would look like crap in a matter of a month at best. So here's what I do to maintain what little physique I have at my age. Diet. Let's talk about diet. Now, I am not a trainer. I'm not a dietitian. I am just an old dumbass Marine who lives in his garage, as I've said before. But I've been doing this a long time, and I've kind of figured out my own body at the very least. And since, we're all different, but there's a lot of things that we all have that are the same, I'm going to share with you what works for me. This might not work for you. The first thing I do is intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting to me is pseudoscience. It's mostly bullshit. But what it does do is it limits the window which you can stuff your face. Cram all that crap in your cram hole. You basically have a limited window. If you have the discipline to stick to intermittent fasting, you have a limited window in which you could cram your pie hole. It works for me because of my work schedule. I'm on the go at work. I often don't have time to eat. A lot of times I don't even bring a meal with me. And boy, howdy, am I hungry when I get off work. So I just decided, let's make it easy. I just won't eat at work. So from the time I wake up to the time I get off work, that's 14, 15 hours. I get home, I ice my, leg, I, do the things that I do to get the house, my chores and all that when I get home. And at that time, I have a window from when, I get all settled at home till I go to bed, in which I can pretty much eat, and I do eat whatever the hell I want. That being said, all of that's great. If you still exceed your daily caloric intake in that small window, intermittent fasting isn't going to do crap for you. Because at the end of the day, the number one thing in dieting, and I don't care if you're fat, skinny, or you have wings and you can fly, you cannot break the laws of thermodynamics. And if you exceed the amount of calories that you burn in a day, you're still going to gain weight over time. So, how do I find out how many calories I need? Well, I weigh myself in the morning and I weigh myself at night. Your weight will fluctuate up to 10 pounds during the day, especially if you're a bigger dude. We're talking, water, all that stuff. So when you wake up in the morning, generally speaking, people are at their fasted. That's when they're going to be their lightest. They weigh themselves on the scale. Holy crap, I've lost 5 pounds. And then when you weigh yourself at night when you go to bed, oh my God, I gained 10 pounds. Nobody loses 5 pounds in a night. Nobody gains 10 pounds during the day. It's not possible. Well, we're talking fat. Not what you do lose is usually water. So, take that into consideration. What I do is I weigh myself over a period of time and I log the numbers. I track them so I can see if I'm trending up or I'm trending down. If after 5 days my weight is, a pound or two heavier, I know I've gained weight. So I've come to the conclusion, that right now with the amount of training I'm doing to stay in my weight class, I have to eat 3,500 calories on training days. The days I go really hard, I consume 3,500 calories. On days that I do nothing, I eat right around 2,500 calories. Most people make dieting so hard. Come on, guys, it's not hard. First of all, diets suck. All these crash fad diets, they suck. If you don't like your diet, you're not going to stick with it. Counting calories, even if you can't stick to it, even if you just can't adhere to it, at least know how much you're eating. It's so useful. So, look at those Snickers bars, look at those bag of wrappers and count those calories. So, here's the deal. If over time you exceed your caloric intake, you're going to gain weight. If over time you are below your caloric intake, you're going to lose weight. How I do it, if I want to cut weight, I cut about 500 calories off of my daily needs. And I will, over a period of a week, lose weight slowly. And I always stay in my weight class. I try to. I try not to exceed 210 pounds. I try not to go below 190, at 185 at the very least. I can pretty much stay in that. If I want to put a few pounds on to hit a PR, I can do that. If I want to cut a little bit so that I look good when I go out for dinner, I could do that. It takes me a week to trim up. I know how to water fast. I know how to get all sucked up so I can look good for a photograph. Because we get really, really bloated especially when we eat sugars and carbs. Oh my God, you've seen my gut sometimes? That is bloating. I'm obviously not fat. I have a ripped six pack, but sometimes my gut sticks out like an alien, like I'm pregnant. And that's all bloating. That's all bloating. A lot of us, especially if you are an alcoholic or a drug addict, we stored fat around our subcutaneous fat around our organs, our liver, kidneys, everything. All that fat was in there. So those fat cells are still there, guys. They're still there. They didn't go away. They just shrunk up because the body used them. Well, what happens? You start putting a little weight on. That's where we're storing our fat. So all that's inside, underneath the abdominal wall. That's all in there. Those guts get those fat cells starts growing. Next thing you know, you're like, an extra for Ripley in the Aliens movie. It is what it is. That's what we're dealing with. We made hard life choices, and now we got to deal with the consequences. So we got calories in, we got calories out. That's how I maintain my diet. I use intermittent fasting, and I keep it to a window. Well, let's talk about how you consume those calories. Here's the thing, like say you're on a 2,500 calorie day diet, and you really need to stick to that, but you're eating nothing but candy bars, Pop-Tarts. Well, think of it like withdrawing money from a bank. You have $2,500 in the bank, and if you go out and make large purchases, like you just run out and buy a big screen TV for $1,000, now you have one item, and that's half of your money. And that one item's not very satisfying, so you want to go out and buy another item, but now you only have $1,200 left. So your next item you spend $600 on. You're still hungry. That's like those candy bars. Those candy bars are large ticket items that you use up half of your money, and you got to get through the rest of the day. Well, that's where filler foods comes in. For what works for me, I can only speak for me. I keep forgetting. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not trying to give you guys advice. I'm telling you what works for me. What works for me is I find foods that you couldn't possibly consume your caloric intake on if you tried. You would die before you filled yourself up with 3,000 calories of lettuce. Imagine that. 3,000 calories of iceberg lettuce. You would kill yourself trying to get that down. Now, lettuce sucks, right? Who wants to eat lettuce all day? There's other stuff. There's popcorn without seasoning. You gotta be careful. Some of those there's things that are better than others. Rice cakes. There's, like greens. A lot of greens. You can't go wrong with vegetables. If you can learn to love snacking on things like veggies, carrots are great because they fill you up. You'll never see a guy that's morbidly obese, dead in his living room recliner with a bunch of banana peels and apple cores laying around him. You see what I'm saying? High density, low calorie foods. Things that will fill you up that have low calories are your best friend, because they will satiate you. You won't be constantly hungry. And they suck to eat, but you know what? You get used to it. It's weird. If you just do it for a week or two, your body, you'll get used to it. It's weird. You just do. You just adapt to it. Believe me, just try it. If you have the ability to cut sugar out for an entire week, you might go through some withdrawals, but you'll get to a point where it's like, I don't even want it. And then you'll see a candy bar. You'll eat that candy bar. And you're right back. You're right back. It's like an alcoholic who hasn't had a drink in 10 years. And he just says, screw it. I'm going to have a shot. You're right back. You're right back there. You're right back to craving it. You're right back. And then within a week, you're in a gutter. And they have to drag your corpse to whatever. It's not good. It's all bad. So the key is once you do adapt to something and you do get accustomed and used to it, having the discipline to stay the course is going to be paramount, absolutely crucial. But you can do it. So find some low-calorie, high-density foods that fill you up, that you can snack on, that will make it so you don't want, buckets of Popeye's chicken. That's diet in a nutshell. Okay, let's talk about supplements. What supplements do I take? Well, here's a picture of them all. I take calcium, magnesium, zinc, vitamin D3, NAC, uh, QO, Q10, NAD, and L-arginine. I also take creatine and usually like a daily multivitamin. I take that stuff. Uh, I don't want to get into the science of some of this stuff. Is this stuff necessary? The ones that I think are absolutely necessary are the calcium, magnesium, zinc, and D3. I would think every human on Earth should be taking those. That helps with the immune system. The NAD, NAC is also beneficial to that. I do not get sick. I don't get colds. I don't get the flu. My wife and kids were both had a flu or a cold this week. I didn't get it. My wife gets mad at me. She's like, "You never get sick." I don't sleep that great. I don't eat that great. I'm very strict on my caloric intake, but I don't necessarily have the best diet. But I don't get sick, and I truly believe that those supplements are the reason why. I gotta throw this disclaimer out there again, though. I'm just a dumb meathead. I've read a lot of articles. I know how to read peer review research. So I've made the determination. Honestly, I got a lot of this advice from Joe Rogan, and you can laugh at that, but he's in his 50s, and the dude is still kicking ass. You know, why would you not take his advice? You listen to these long-form podcasts where they speak for 3 hours, and you pick up a couple things, and you listen to them, and they are talking, and it's like, there's got to be something to it. And then you read some peer review research, and it corroborates what they say, and then you start taking some of this stuff, and you see the positive results for yourself. Well, yeah, is it a doctor recommending this stuff? No, but at the end of the day, it's just vitamins. It's not going to hurt you. I take these. I try to take them daily. I'm not very consistent with it. I often forget when I go to work. Other drugs that I'm on a non-narcotic pain med for my nerve pain. It's called gabapentin. They gave me something else for blood pressure, which I'm not really taking. When I went in to get my blood work done, they took my blood pressure, and it was really high. And they said, "Well, it was high the last time you came in. Maybe we should put you on some blood pressure medication." And I was trying to tell the nurse, I said, "I am in extreme amount of pain right now. It hurts so bad to get up in the mornings and get stretched out so I can get in the car and drive that I'm clenching my teeth and I'm all tensed up. And yeah, my blood pressure's a little high." I check it. The VA gave me a blood pressure monitor, and I check it during the day, and it's usually like 130/80. So that, healthy male levels. But, for whatever reason, 2 times I went into the doctor's office, my blood pressure was really high. It was like 150/90. And that kind of scared him. So that's all the medications that I'm on. That's all the vitamins I take. And that's it, guys. That's all I'm on. I'm on about 200 milligrams of test a week. And I take those vitamins, and that's my diet. That's everything. And this is a long one. And I doubt anybody has made it this far, which is unfortunate, because now I'm going to talk about the absolute most important part. You want to look like me. You got to lift. You got to lift consistently. I lift almost daily. Why? Is it advisable? No. I'm a psycho. I have the equipment in my garage, and I love it. I come out here. I pick the weights up. I put them down. I love it. I love it. Every minute of it. I love to pick the heavy weights up. I like to put them down, y'all. I just love it. I live for this stuff. This has changed my life. I didn't know what to do when I got sober, and I found the sport of powerlifting. And it's just, I love it. I love everything about it. I love watching lifting videos. I love watching new lifters get stronger. I like watching older lifters, do things that, they shouldn't be able to do at their age. I like watching intermediate lifters put up more than a house. And I like guys that are aspiring, that are, maybe they just got into the sport and haven't figured it out. I love everything about it. I love the equipment. I love the doodads, the gizmos and gadgets, and I like trying all this weird crap out, and I like watching all the different sports, and I don't know, I just love it. It's a lifestyle. It is absolutely a lifestyle. If you want to look like me, Do you need to be as psychotic as I am? Probably not. But you do need to be consistent. You do need to be consistent. You have to be consistent. Thoughts on bulking, thoughts on cutting. I stay away from all that. Dude, bulking is horrible for you. I don't care. Look, I know some of you guys want to get as big as you can possibly get so you can lift as much weight as possible. In my opinion, take it for what it's worth. I am not judging you. I do not look down on you. I don't think any less of you if you're big or small or skinny or fat. I am concerned about your long-term health. I think it's bad. I think it's all bad. Here, I'm going to be completely honest with you, bigger guys. I honestly think that it's healthier to go on a steroid cycle than it is to bulk up to 100 pounds. Mostly visceral fat. Your body fat percentage far exceeds your muscle, and yes, it does give you a higher lifting capacity. Please, understand. I'm not judging you guys. I'm not saying don't take this the wrong way. It's not meant to be negative. I'm just being honest. We want to be real on this channel. Long-term health, bad. It's not going to be a good solution for when you get older. You're going to have nothing but problems. It's so hard on your joints. It's so hard on your organs. And it's such a pain in the ass to lose if you want to get rid of it. Hell, go on a cycle. No, I can't advocate steroids. I'm just saying, it would be it's like comparing smoking to sitting all day in an office. Which one's worse? They're both bad, so don't do either. But I'm saying if I had a choice, if you gave me a choice between bulking up 100 pounds to lift, 50 more pounds on my bench, or doing a cycle of steroids, I'm going to take the latter. So that'd be, that's not saying you should do that. I'm saying that's how bad it is for you. And take it for what it's worth. It's just, at the end of the day, it's my personal opinion. And understand, I still love you. I still think your lifts are awesome. I'm still going to follow you. And I still think you're amazing. I just worry about your long-term health, big guy. That's all I'm saying. One last thing I want to touch on, and then I'll shut up, is I have found it to be true to make sure that I do as much variety as I possibly can. I got stuck in this 3-lift rut where I just did bench, deadlift, squat. For accessories, I do different squat, different bench. And I was starting to lose, even though I had great flexibility in those movements, I was suffering in other areas. I didn't have the mobility I wanted to do things like boxing or other sports, cycling. I like to do cycling. I like to do it all. So do a huge variety. Do it all. Do everything. Do track and field, yoga, boxing, martial arts, whatever, ballet. Ballet's awesome. It'll definitely change the way you do everything. The amount of grace you'll be able to add to just any sport is incredible. So that's it. Be consistent, count your calories, watch your total caloric intake. You go to a doctor, get your blood work done, do how much of a variety of sports as you can, and you will be relatively healthy, happy, and the quality of your life is going to improve vastly. It did for me. I got to stop saying you guys, because this is just me sharing my experience. My experience, what worked for me. I love you guys, and I hope that this helps or clears anything up.